Hello everyone, today we're going to be building some more Jurassic World. In this video I'll be building from Jurassic World Chaos Theory, and the next dinosaur will be the highly requested Allosaurus. I really like the way this build turned out, so make sure you stay tuned to the end of the video to see the completed model. Not too long ago, LEGO actually made an official mold for this dinosaur. This is one of my favorite molded dinosaurs, so it gave me something good to compare it to. I also decided to go with the same color scheme as well. Now to begin this build, I started out with the stand. Some of you might be able to recognize, but this stand uses a couple of those Creator 3-in-1 horse sets. I think it made a pretty clean looking stand. And of course I had to use a pillar of those 2x2 translucent bricks too. And now for the first part of the actual dinosaur, I built the back legs. You can see the dark blue and the dark tan color scheme that I used here. I included that 1x1 brick with the hole in the bottom to connect it to the stand. And of course I had to build two of these as well. The feet are usually some of the trickiest builds for these dinosaurs, but thankfully the Creator 3-in-1 horse set has some of those 1x1 bricks with studs on the side. They also came in dark tan, which was perfect for these legs. Now that we've got those on our stand, we can go on to building the body. Here you can see the underbelly is mostly made of dark tan pieces and the top is made with dark blue. I of course added a ball joint for the neck and a bigger ball joint for the tail. I left some of the dark blue studs on the side exposed to leave room for the leg to move. I also made sure to include a few spikes on the sides and on the top. These will also carry on to the tail later on. Now we could go ahead and connect this to our stand we have set up. The body sits nicely on those 2x2 round translucent bricks. Also had to use some blue 3-long pins to space the legs away from the body enough. Adding the legs and the body on before building the rest of the dinosaur helps to avoid any issues later, as sometimes the head and the tail can get in the way when attaching it to the base. So far I was really liking how this build was turning out, especially since I was quickly running out of dark tan pieces since I didn't have much to begin with. Before moving on to the rest of the video, I'd like to quickly remind everyone to like and subscribe to the channel, and if you want, leave a nice comment down below too. These large dinosaur builds take up quite a bit of time and aren't very cheap as well. So thank you very much to anyone who has supported this channel in any way. Now back to our build. The next part we'll be building is the tail. Here's the first segment with that larger ball joint piece. You can see I've used a lot of slope pieces to represent some spikes on this part too. I also added a few tiles and left some studs exposed just to give it a little bit of texture. And then I also made the third and final segment of the tail too. You can see the dark tan underbelly slowly start to thin out as the tail goes on. And here it is all complete. I really like the way those little spiky pieces looked with those 1x2 slopes. Now with our tail fully put together, we can move on to the neck. This is a pretty small element of the build, but still serves a pretty big purpose. I used that 1x2 dark tan bracket to keep the neck from falling down. Now for one of my favorite parts of every build is the head. For how uniquely shaped the Allosaurus' head is, I think I captured it pretty well out of LEGO. The bottom jaw is pretty thin and doesn't have any teeth on it, but this is to give it that overbite look that you can see on the actual dinosaur. And I'll quickly compare it to the official LEGO molded dinosaur just to show you. Teeth are exposed over the bottom jaw, so I wanted to try to capture that look the best I could. And of course I used the same build for the eye that I normally do. I used a lot of wedge plates and slope curved tiles. I used a couple 1x1 slopes for the spike above the eye. And of course on the other side of the head I had to make sure to capture the look of the blind eye. I also added some dark red tiles for the scars. I do think the blind eye looks a little odd, so if you have any other build ideas, let me know in the comments. For now I think the white 1x1 stud works fine. And now that I've attached the head to the neck, we can start adding these pieces onto the actual build. I started by adding the neck onto the rest of the body. You can see how that 1x2 bracket sits on that tile to keep the neck up. Without it the neck would fall down since it can't hold up its own weight. Now I can connect the tail to the rest of the body with those large ball joint pieces. And now our build is almost complete. Here I nearly forgot about the last parts of this build, which are the front arms. The front arms on this guy are a little bit longer than some of the other larger carnivores as well. The pieces for the hands only came in dark bluish gray, so I had to try to merge the colors from dark tan to dark bluish gray, which I still think blends in well with the rest of the build just fine. And just like the back legs, I had to build two of these as well. And now with both of these built, we can add them to the rest of our build to make it fully complete. Thankfully I've been getting better at building these dinosaurs, so they've been a lot more sturdy recently. So these front arms clipped into place very easily. And now that we've got them attached, our Allosaurus build is fully complete. Just like my Giganotosaurus build, I was really happy with the way this one turned out. I also really like the dark blue color scheme since it stands out compared to the other dinosaurs. Here's a look at the side with the blind eye. Make sure to let me know of any upgrades I could do for that side as well. One new change here is I used some ball joints in the leg. Normally I'd use some hinge pieces like I did for my other builds. These made it a lot stronger and easier to pose as well. And of course, here's a look at our build compared to LEGO's official mold. Once again, just like my Giganotosaurus build, this was a pretty good comparison. I used the exact same colors, and the overall build doesn't look too far off from LEGO's official mold. I used a lot more dark blue than they did just because I had a lack of dark tan pieces. Since LEGO's molds have smaller detail, their blind eye and scarring looks a lot better than mine. Overall, I was still really happy with how this build turned out. Now that's complete, we can add it onto our shelf. The shelves have been pretty full, so I've had to do some reorganizing. Thankfully I had a spot for them here. I think he fits in nicely, and his dark blue color scheme really stands out compared to these other guys. And here's an overall look of our Jurassic build so far. I love making this dinosaur, and I hope you all do too. Thank you very much for watching. Bye!